thank everyone here. Huge number in the back. Yeah, just means a lot. My heart is beating, maybe because it's a honest part two, but also maybe because you're all here. So I appreciate that. I know there's some people watching. Jay, if you could tilt that up a little bit. Yeah, and I'd just like to introduce everyone. Tracy Pryor from the Australian Bedding Stewardship Council is here today representing them. So that's really awesome. I appreciate that.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. And some people are watching live stream, some of the manufacturers, which is cool. And yeah, this is, yeah, we're designing. That's cool. Okay. All right.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Take your time.
Okay. Let's go, guys. Thank you. A third of our life is spent in sleep, let alone one surface. This statement has fascinated me for quite some time. And as a designer who was looking to make positive change through design, I thought, if I could improve the experience that all of us here can attest to in any way, then I can make a significant positive impact and help improve the lives of others through the creative act. This fascination was then met by the fact I was living in Melbourne. The marriage of my interest in sleep was confronted by the encounters of roadside mattresses and something that all of us here can attest to. And so my eager eye grew bigger. And the commencement of the project I now call Sleep.com. Some of you may call it Honest Part 1. Sleep.com was the intent to gain a new lens from the people that experience the end of life of mattresses on a day-to-day basis. Searching online, I couldn't quite decipher the facts. I needed people like Tracy to stage the reality and reasoning behind these roadside mattresses. As a result, I spoke to people in the industry and the guys at Softland, Australia's leading mattress recyclers, who quantified that 1.8 million mattresses end up in landfill each year in Australia alone, with around 75% of those materials with the ability to be recycled, and each bed has a recycling time of recycling average time of 8 minutes. Now, with tons of layers of different materials being stitched and stuck together, it meant that the majority of the modern mattress was incapable of being fully recycled, due to the fact that manufacturers and the current population value comfort and indestructibility over everything. Just leave that there. Leading to a strong argument for change and to question why. Why is this our reality? Why can we not use design to create good for us all? And to ask the question, both Sumitra and I were thinking, what number is better than 1.8 million beds and landfill? The answer to that is a moonshot, and that is 0. So that brings me to my Honest Part 2 presentation, the sloth, the rice bag, and the forever forest. Thank you for coming. Setting an exemplar to the industry as to how to design for the future of sleep, and designing both for the recycler and for the user. Dan, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. So this project started with my interest into materials. With the knowledge of the limitations of the current materials we know and subsequent techniques, I knew it was going to be, I wanted one answer. I looked at Breathe Air here from Japan in Osaka and Fill Up material, a Melbourne startup from Upcycle. I had this idea. What if you could combine all the layers and different materials in foam and springs and combine into one? If you combine it to one, then you could create a fully recycled, or you could potentially streamline the whole recycling process. This paired with its ability to be shredded up and re-extruded or recombined, you could effectively achieve a fully circular outcome. This was something that brought us closer to that moonshot. And so my relationship with different manufacturers began, enacting a sort of Sleep.com part 2, resulting in a polymer elastomer material that could achieve the qualities mentioned. Game changer. As a result, the moonshot felt attainable. This then pushed me to reach for yet another moonshot, to say, what if you could take that average disassembly time from 8 minutes down to just 30 seconds. Then all parties, not just the recyclers, could benefit from this. At first glance, I couldn't help but think, damn, this is terrifying. In essence, I felt like it was up to me as a designer, with the knowledge of all the industry's issues. I felt somewhat alone. However, a reconnection to the key players and the industry and the undying spirit of what if. That pushed me to continue start the act of uncovering. The proposition was set to design a mattress that allowed for complete disassembly, whilst also keeping in mind that you cannot make a mattress that is uncomfortable to sleep in. So therefore, an understanding of the physiological factors of sleep had to be met. Therefore, setting a precedence to design both for the recycler and for the user. And therefore, the introduction of the sloth and the rice bag journey began. This began with uncovering a minimum viable product. After talking to some supervisors, I needed to understand that I could understand that there was something that could solve the issues of recyclability in the most viable way. Taking a concept that could be riddled with intricacies right down to its bare bones. And so, after discovering this MVP, I knew I needed to insert this idea of flow. With the knowledge that the material could be encased relatively in a simple way, I knew deep down there was so much more room to give to the recycler. Utilizing this active flow and disassembly for an outer casing to simply slip off in one action. The current 8-minute disassembly time was also ridden with Stanley knives and sharp objects, and this is just the reality. However, I knew if I wanted to get to that 30-second mark, then the flow of action was the answer. So now, I introduce to you the rice bag reincarnation. There you go. Okay, developing the outer casing, there was just one wall I kept on hitting. To include this method of flow, the only thing restricting was the fact that the mattress is physically a rectangle. After the countless sketches and developments, I needed a single stitch to unraveling the opening of the case. And so, after a beautiful green curry and a brand new bag of jasmine rice, I hit a light bulb moment. The chain stitch used in this bag could in fact enact the same qualities that I needed to undo. As a result, the following night, the machine was bought. Used to mimic the hyperextension of a snake's jaw, the outer casing can now be released from the inner with a simple act of cutting the tensioning band and pulling the chain stitch. The design was then prototyped through scale with the knowledge that each time you increase in size, a new set of challenges arises. And so, taking it one time, it meant for a more focused approach, as you can see here. So, after the efforts in scaling, I then took the progression to half scale, as you can see down there underneath the table. Further refining my design and also the techniques used. This was also combined with the ambition of that second 30-second moonshot, with the idea that if I could get this down to 30 seconds with a high density blue foam, then I might just have a chance at pulling off that moonshot with a more flexible inner material. And with a bit of time and a fair bit amount of focus, it did indeed. Using the chain stitch to unravel it all and disassemble completely in just 30 seconds. So, after that, I approached the final prototype. Binding the inner construction with simply just a hot knife meant there was no adhesives used, something unheard of in the industry today. I was able to achieve the fully developed 1A matrix, enhancing the already breathable material to allow for heightened isolation. With the material at the highest breathability rating in the industry, air circulation was really handled. The design itself lied in understanding the material, in this case, a large sheet of it feeling a bit like bit more like a big block of latex. And so, improving on its qualities, if you divided the surface and subsequent layers, as you can see here, it meant that you now have an outcome that can compress individually to allow for optimized spinal alignment, allowing for full recovery of those spinal supporting muscles and therefore a deeper sleep. So, progressing on, I commenced the outer casing using construction techniques from the industry and also textile design. And at 3/4 of the way through the build, I went back and approached soft landing to reconnect with the hopes of gaining some final design input and also further validating my effort to try and design for the recycler. Now, the result was a long conversation about my journey that I had and also the fascination of the material, as it's pretty new. Then taking the mattress out the boot of my car, placing it on the table, undoing the chain stitch and tensioning band, disassembling the mattress, all within 30 seconds. A result that I was more than thrilled with. The reaction from the team was an equivalent of a big hug from the industry. This then propelled me to finish off the final build. And so in a matter of days, the final stitch was done with an outer casing that spoke to the innovation and something that the user can kind of feed off, maintaining the aspects of breathability kind of through its material choice, and having the outer casing made entirely from cotton and polyester. It meant that, and it's all connected, that means that it's a direct input for this cushioning for material and their recycling system. So also, these flowing form lines also allowed signaling points to the recycler as to where more structure and grip was for the disassembly, creating a design language that both spoke to the user in its aesthetic and it was also speaking to the recycler in a visual language indicated in navy blue, highlighting as to where the disassembly is to take place. Now, after the completion of the design itself, I took it to the research lab at RMIT, where they hold Australia's most advanced testing machine. How crazy. Using compression testing techniques, understanding the ability to conform to our body, the result was a mattress that performs highly within the industry. With even distribution and compression rates across the whole surface within the top performers of the industry, I was pretty pumped. Along with this demonstration at soft landing, this represented my unhindering effort to design for both the recycler, benefiting at their end of life stage, and also for the user, creating a viable exemplar to the industry as to how to use design as an avenue to create good. This is the future of sleeping surfaces. Thank you very much. Hello everyone. I'd just like to wrap up and talk about the question and answers after that presentation. This project is about the sloth, the rice bag, and the forever forest. And something that wasn't touched on is the system-conscious design approach that I've taken to this project. And so the question was about the user and the purchasing experience maybe when purchasing this mattress. In Sleep.com, or Honours Part 1, I investigated the disposal and why we have these roadside mattresses. And the problem wasn't in the disposal of these mattresses, it was more on ownership. And so when you design a whole mattress like this, with its ability to be fully recyclable, and when you design it for end of life, benefiting the recycling process, you don't just benefit the recycler, you benefit all these other parties. And that includes the manufacturer, not just in the process because they have a slightly better disassembly time, but also if you switch and you understand the ownership of a mattress, instead of someone buying a mattress every 8 to 10 years, they lease it out every 4 to 5. Then the ownership switches from a user to the manufacturer, someone that has the power and the ability to create real benefit in this whole cycle. And it provides benefit for them to own the materials within the mattress. And then you change it from a system that looks like this, where at end of life, all the materials are released, maybe into a recycled system, but maybe into the landfill, to a system like this, where a manufacturer owns the whole entire system and the materials contained within. And this also benefits different kinds of users. So not just household users, where they would lease it out every 4 to 5 years, but also users like institutions, so FIFO work sites, or armies, or hospitals, or hotels, or student accommodation. These are people that are, or institutions that are looking to get green credentials or certified B corporations, and they're trying to meet recycling standards, where a manufacturer can offer a service in response to them already taking away a mattress every 4 to 5 years. They don't have to own it. The manufacturer can own it and benefit from the savings in material cost. So as that goes out, I would just like to say thank you very much for watching the presentation. This is the sloth, the rice bag, and the forever forest. Thank you very much.